Alright, we're looking at Acts chapter 24 now, and here we see Paul before Felix, who was the basically the Roman governor over Judea at the time. And as we talked about before, we talked about a little bit of his history, but at this point, he's being protected in a sense, because in Jerusalem he was about to be torn apart and killed by like 40 guys who were giving up their food as an oath to make sure Paul died, and they refused to eat until he was dead. So I guess they're still going hungry at this point. But as he's before Felix, of course, we see he's accused of a lot of stuff. The biggest thing was stirring up the Jews and being part of a Nazarene sect, and both of these things could be considered treason in the Roman government. And so they're basically accusing Paul of this treason idea. Now Paul turns it back around and explains exactly what he's about, and at the end basically says these guys don't care about that. Their biggest issue is the resurrection issue, which and then Felix knows the way, or which was the name for Christianity back then. He knew about the way, so it wasn't a new sect, and it wasn't anything kind of weird that Paul was doing. And so basically he allows Paul to go free, dismisses him. But what's really interesting here is that Paul sort of, because of he's a Roman citizen, is getting access to people that most Christians, Jewish Christians, could not get access to. And because of his Roman citizenship, he's talking to the governor, which is a big deal. That'd be like me going down to the governor of North Carolina or whatever state and telling them about the faith. And so this is a pretty big deal. He's like one step away from basically the president and sharing his faith. And the governor is so interested in it, he actually has Paul come and teach him some things about the way. And it actually shocks him, and he says, be quiet, but he continues to sort of get him to come in, hoping that Paul will bribe him. But he does keep him under arrest for about 2 years, and he continues to be under arrest beyond that. And this is probably where we see some of these letters coming from, as he, as we will get into the epistles. Paul mentions often about him being in chains for the gospel and that kind of thing. Now, a lot of people believe he was actually under house arrest, which basically meant he would have had 2 Roman soldiers on both sides of him, so almost like he was under bodyguard protection. So not necessarily in a prison, but he was probably at a house, able to do everything he needed to do, being cared for, and basically more protected, but in a sense he wasn't allowed to do his ministry as he wanted to. So that's chapter 24. We're about to hit 25.